Hey, it's Andy from TechRaptor here. I have Travis with me. I'm talking with Scott from Hi-Rez about SMITE Hand of the Gods. So I guess to kick it off, what gave you the idea? Why make this game?
So about a year and a half ago, we were talking about ways that, well, really more than a year and a half ago, but we were talking about different ways that we could span on the SMITE universe and try to create different experience for our fans and everyone who kind of follows SMITE and just kind of mythology as a whole. I mean, it's like the greatest thing that's ever happened to us as a studio was kind of mythology, so we wanted to give a little bit more back. So when we're talking about it, we're like, well, what kind of spin-offs could we do? And immediately for us, it was kind of like, well, what if we just do a turn-based strategy game? And we kind of just looked at it as, well, we could take like Magic the Gathering, and we could also take in a little bit of Final Fantasy Tactics, merge them together, and then just kind of do the thing from there.
Okay, so how exactly does the card mechanic work in with the turn-based?
So the card mechanic it works very similar to your standard collectible card game. Player 1 goes first, player 2 goes second, and it rotates from that point on. So in our game, we have two kinds of cards. We have spells and we have units. Units are cards that get deployed, but they can only be spawned around your summoning stone. The summoning stone is the objective of the game. You got to defeat it in order to win. So you're spawning it around your home base, if you will. And spells are more global, that you can kind of either use to target enemies or your own units.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the heroes that we see in SMITE, they return in this. Are they all going to be kind of, at least try to keep it thematically similar to how they play in regular SMITE?
We try it when we can.
Yeah.
Whenever we can, yes. But the thing is very early on we try to do it that way, and it kind of pigeonholed us into some of the designs because we were like, oh, well, we got to make sure that Zeus does this. And it was like, well, it doesn't really fit inside of the theme that we're going for. So that was a little bit of a learning experience. But whenever we can, we always make sure to do it. But a lot of the times we kind of take it and expand upon it more. So like Fenrir, for example, in our game, so he has an ability where if he does an attack, he grows. And so we actually made him bipedal, and he actually can grow to like 150%, and in SMITE we only grow him 50%. So we got to do a little fun things like that.
Yeah. So is this going to be a free-to-play game?
Yes.
So how's that going to work, the free-to-play aspect?
So for a card game, it's free-to-play.
Yeah.
I think the last time I looked at the stats, and I would have to check again, but I believe we have right around like 38% of our cards are entirely free.
Okay.
And then very similar to the other Hi-Rez games, we have an equivalent of like the God Pack from SMITE or the Champions Pack in Paladins. So we have this pack called the Venus Pack, which guarantees you specific cards inside of the neutral set as well as the Roman set.
Yeah.
And it's really the competitors pack, which means that if you do this, you're guaranteed to be competitive inside of it.
Okay. So you're going to be kind of building around a set of heroes in terms of building your deck, or is it kind of one or a few work together really well and everything kind of supports them, or?
Yeah, so the fun part with this is kind of talking about earlier where it doesn't really fit a theme is, so we broke it all up into pantheons. So you can play as Greek, Norse, Roman, Egyptian, Mayan, and then we have Hindu coming right around the corner as well.
Okay.
And so what we had to do with there is we had to assign each pantheon a leader who is kind of like, defines exactly how they play. And so there's a couple easy ones, right? If you picked anyone besides Zeus, you'd be like,
Yeah.
and if it wasn't Poseidon or Hades, you were just dumb, right?
Yeah.
And so that one was easy. Odin, obviously, and Norse, but there's a couple challenging ones where it's like Chinese, right? We've never done the Jade Emperor in SMITE. We've never touched him. So we had to pick the one who was the highest on the celestial heavens, and that was Nuwa.
Okay. Do you ever see? I'm guessing when new stuff comes to SMITE, are they probably gonna assume, oh, when's this coming to SMITE Tactics? It's kind of gonna be a delayed kind of thing.
Correct. It will be delayed. So right now we're working on Hindu. That'll be coming out in September. That'll be our next kind of call it a mini expansion. We kind of do 30 cards because with the units we can't really stockpile for that long because they're such high fidelity that we want to kind of get them out there and get a feel for them. Plus Hi-Rez is always about patching as frequently as we can.
Yeah.
So the point of that is you can expect to see cards every kind of month. Every month we're doing around 30 cards.
Okay. And so is it going to be kind of like how other stuff works, where it's going to be buying it in packs? And you also mentioned the groups that'll come, they can get them together, like the SMITE Hero Pack. Is it going to be, how's that going to go?
Yeah, so we have a standard core pack where you can get with either free currency or the in-game money currency, for lack of a better word. And then, inside of that, so we're working on a couple things. So in this patch that we're releasing next week, we actually have a clan system. So inside a clan system, you can band together with your friends, and every single week, you can actually unlock a pack just for playing with everyone. So we try to make it as free-to-play friendly as we can. That's kind of like the thing with Hi-Rez. We always do the best job we can to make sure that everyone can be competitive without paying a cent.
And it's my understanding this is an open beta right now, right? So people can get on if they want?
That is correct. So on PC, we are in open beta. And then we just announced closed alpha on console, but you can expect to see closed beta being right around the corner.
Okay, and so right around the corner, so this is kind of getting close to, you guys are ready to release it full, or?
Release it full for Hi-Rez is a little bit different, right? Like Paladins isn't released in full yet.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? It's really just kind of like a marketing beat when we feel that the polish of the game is outside of the quality of beta. And so when we look at all of our games, we always look at it and say, what can we improve on? How can we get it better? And until there's less things on that list, it's not ready to hit beta. And for us, we got a long way to go, but we're confident we'll get there.
So since this is pretty different to a lot of the other stuff you guys have done, now that's in open beta, has there been weird challenges or weird things that have cropped up you didn't anticipate? Or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's so many.
What kind of stuff? Like, what's the big thing that's like, man, why didn't we think of that? Or.
Oh man. Well, I think the big thing is that, you know, we went through some iteration inside of closed beta, like we always do with all of our games. And we've kind of carried along this tutorial. And so, like, literally this week, you know, I was watching people play it, getting ready for the ID at Xbox, where we were showing off the Xbox One Hand of the Gods. And I was like, we completely got to rework that. Like, it doesn't make any sense anymore. I mean, it teaches the basics, but it's not really a good indication of what the game is. So with the game always evolving, you always got to make sure that you're keeping up with the tutorial. And it's very easy to kind of lose track of that. But I'd say probably the biggest one for us was getting the right balance cadence down, right? Because in card games, it's a little bit different than like a MOBA, right? People aren't going to freak out if you nerf Neath a little bit too much, right? Because she's comparatively, you know, she can have different builds and everything's fine. But in a card game, there's a mana cost and there's a stat comparison in it. And if you aggressively nerf them too bad, they might just become unplayable.
And so I know Hi-Rez, the esports are pretty big. You guys try to push those quite a bit. Is this going to be something that's also going to see tournaments in the future? Yes.
So we actually just announced a $50,000 event at HRX. We're working on the details of how people can qualify through it. You can expect to see a series of online as well as LAN events, traditional to how we always kind of do the things. But yeah, we're always going to support esports. We're actually on my list of things. This is a little bit of a spoiler for you, is that we are going to be working on a tournament mode inside of the game.
Okay.
We were kind of batting around a couple different ideas, but I really want that by October.
All right.
So you said you're going to sell card packs. People are going to know exactly what they get. Is that going to be the distribution model, or are people going to be able to buy random packs of cards as well?
So it's a random pack of cards. We just have a bundle that gives you guaranteed specific units.
Okay.
And are you doing different rarities of units then?
Yep. So it's the standard. It's free, common, rare, epic, and legendary.
Okay. So what, in terms of the tactics part of it, you mentioned that it's kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics. Was that where you guys kind of drew from?
Yeah. For me personally, yes.
Okay.
You know, there was a lot of different ones that I kind of looked at, and very early on, we kind of ruled out that we would do verticality. And so once we kind of threw out verticality, it was like, well, you're not going to really get a lot of depth if it's on one playing field and there's no verticality. Yeah. So we had to include the collectible card game element to it, so there was deck building, there was a lot more depth to it. So that's kind of how we ended up where we were. But for me, it was a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics. I think, you know, one of the big reasons that I put so much time into this is that I just miss turn-based strategy games on console. Like, there hasn't been one in so long, and I just feel like this new generation we're all the same generation at this point, right? Yeah, right? They're just missing out on that element. Yeah. Now, like, Mario Rabbids did a good job with the Switch. That game's fantastic. But, you know, I want to just make sure everyone has an avenue of playing that, because it's very awesome to play those games.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it for me. Travis, got anything?
I don't think so.
All right, that was Andrew and Travis from TechRaptor with Scott from Hi-Rez. We were talking Hand of the Gods, SMITE Tactics.